Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So a new poll came out that shows that just 7% of Americans have a very favorable opinion of the Democrat Party, according to NBC News even. And this is the lowest number that has ever been recorded in the history of the polling that we've seen. Now, does this mean that the Democrats are only going to get 7% of the vote? No, even though we could argue they don't even deserve that. But it means that the enthusiastic Democrats, they're deflated. You would think that right now, because Trump's in the White House, the big bad orange man, they say, that the Democrats are going to be able to actively, fundraise off of that, kind of rebuild, kind of how they did after 2016. But they're not doing it. They have a massive brand problem, and of course, they're going to win more than 7%. But still, when you have a problem and you have an election that's coming up in 2026 that's not explicitly a referendum of Donald Trump and his presidency, that might be part of it, but it's Republicans versus Democrats. It's true the Democrats are the higher propensity coalition, but still, if enough Trump supporters turn out for the Republicans, let's say they pass parts of Trump's agenda, yeah, you're not going to get a blue wave. Not with 7% of Americans that know what your party stands for, aside opposing everything that Donald Trump does and being absolutely insufferable. That's not going to cut it. And I think that deep down, some of the party leaders know it, but there's less of them that are competent than what they had after 2016. Because after 2016, first of all, Trump was not as popular as Donald Trump is now. And Democrats pivoted effectively. They, astroturfed this resist blue wave to resist Blumph, and obviously it wasn't perfect for them. They still lost a lot of races they thought they were going to win, but they did retake the House. They had a net gain of about 40 seats, and ironically enough, a lot of the Republicans that lost were rhinos, so by an extent, it was a little bit of an addition by subtraction kind of thing, but still they did lose a lot of seats that they should have held, and they eventually retook a lot of them back in 2020, 2022, and even 2024. But you hear about this blue wave for 2026. I don't think we're going to see that. I really don't. Now, the chances of the Democrats in 2028 and beyond are in part going to be determined by how Trump is viewed, his administration is viewed, but it doesn't seem like the Democrats are really in any position to the point where you could say they're favored in the next election or even in the midterms, which is a total disaster because their party is a total disaster. And you kind of see it. They don't have a clear leader. This is never a good sign. Opposition to Trump isn't enough to carry you. It might have been back in the day to make a lot of these races competitive. 2018, for example, you don't have that. Donald Trump with the whole healthcare situation, Trump not being that popular back then, Democrats actually finding a way to recruit strong candidates who talked out of both sides of their mouth and appeared moderate, but voted in line with the furthest left radicals on pretty much everything. And on that front, it was a success. But right now, they don't have a clear leader. Back then it was, you had, Obama was seen as the leader. Maybe you had Hillary in the mix, a Biden, a Bernie Sanders, because a lot of the furthest left people kind of resonated with him. But now there's no clear leader. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is their clear leader. She was the crazy person back in 2018 who got elected for them. Now, 10% is not a lot, and it shows how fragmented the party is, but it just shows that there's no clear direction. There's no clear leader. You don't even have anybody in like the 20s. Obama, who back then was seen as like the leader, and he still has pull in the DNC, but it's not as much as he did before, he's down there at 4. Jasmine Crockett, another basket case crazy person's at 4%. Gavin Newsom, 2%. Pelosi, 2%. Schumer, 2%. The people that actually have some power and pull, they're not really viewed very high. And Kamala Harris got off her election loss. And now many people are saying she might run again or she might run for governor of California. Either one works for me for different reasons. But regardless, it's like, she's at 9%. And she's leading every single primary poll. Like, are they possibly going to be this dumb to nominate her again? Because Hillary Clinton, she, when polled for 2020 back in like 2018, she'd be polling in like the mid-teens. Biden was polling ahead of her in nearly every poll. And we kind of saw that, but it's like now it's like there's no clear leader. There's not even a front runner in terms of their own base, who they view to be their leader. Only among Democrats, by the way. This isn't like among Republicans. This is among Democrats. There is no consensus, and that is not a good sign because the party is directionless, and just rabid opposition to Trump is not going to cut it at this stage in the game. And you could see it when you look at the most accurate pollster in 2024, Atlas Intel. They dropped their favorables poll, and Donald Trump is +2. That is insane. Usually Trump would be in the double-digit negatives even when you had a great economy during his first term. That was the case, but now he's +2. The landscape has changed. J.D. Vance, +2. Barack Obama, -2. Michelle Obama, -4. AOC, -9. I think it would be more than that, to be honest. I'm kind of shocked she's that high. Kamala Harris is now -15, but she's the one leading the polls. Biden's -26. Newsom is -29 even. Hillary Clinton is -30. So you look at Gavin Newsom, he's like one of the front runners. If you remove Harris, it's like Newsom's up there. And now he's doing like this podcast tour where he's like a sociopath and, you know, invites all these right-wing people on. And some people find it entertaining, but his favorables among Democrats are tanking, and they're not improving among people in the middle because everybody knows he's a sociopath. They see right through him. J.D. Vance is just as popular as Donald Trump. He's not overwhelmingly in the positives, but still, the more people have seen of Vance and the more Vance has kind of been out there in the public eye, his numbers have gone up. You know, he used to be in the negatives, but now he's in the positives. A lot of these other people, like Kamala Harris, they did the AstroTurf type, and the more people saw of her, the less they liked her. And that's kind of a common recurring theme you have with the Democrats, to the point where they would just be, best running somebody that would just stay in the shadows, kind of like Biden in 2020, stays in the basement. Whatever. Maybe they could find like a celebrity. I've heard Mark Cuban possibly could go for it, and he's insufferable, don't get me wrong, but he probably stands a better chance than some of these people. I just don't think that he'd be able to get through a primary. It's just a big disaster that you see in the Democrats, and it's going to get worse because they have to win 2028. This is a crucial election for them, and the only one who's expressed interest in even running, I know there's going to be a lot of candidates, it's Tim Walz, who was a total joke, and definitely, I don't think Harris would have won if she picked anyone else, but he did not help her whatsoever. And then you see all these other people like Bashir, Buttigieg, Cory Booker, Andrew Cuomo, who had to resign in disgrace. It's just a list of a lot of people who are unpalatable. People like Josh Shapiro, Gretchen Whitmer, they might poll the best head-to-head, but again, they're not really being attacked by very many people. Their records have never really been effectively scrutinized, and if you're going up against somebody like a Vance, that's not really a good sign. It's not like they're leaps and bounds stronger than a Gavin Newsom at the end of the day, and that's a major, major problem for the Democrats. And a lot of these people like Josh Shapiro, probably they wouldn't even let him get through a primary the same way they wouldn't even let him be Kamala Harris's VP. I still think Trump would have won Pennsylvania regardless, but still, Walz was a major disaster, and he's not popular at all. And he's up there with the front runners. Seriously, they're entertaining this. I mean, I don't even know how you fix this party, but this is a crucial election for the Democrats because they may not win a presidential election in the 2030s. I know that sounds like, a way too early bold take, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you look at the map, it's like you look at which states are gaining electoral votes. Arizona, Utah, and Idaho are each gaining 1. Texas and Florida gain a combined 8. And then you have the blue states of Minnesota, Illinois, California, Oregon, Rhode Island, and New York. Even though New York has gotten closer, it's still a blue state. Those states are losing power. And then the swing states of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are losing or projected to lose 1 electoral vote as well. And you kind of have this weird thing going on where Republicans are actually gaining in a place like California, but the Californians that are moving to places like Texas are actually very Republican leaning, at least on net. But California is still getting redder as these people leave, because I think the fact so many people are leaving, it's waking up a lot of people's eyes to leadership, and also you have Hispanic voters moving right, etc. But you see this here. This is a major issue for the Democrats, because remember, the popular vote that was like, oh, Democrats are going to win it easily. You know, Republicans could possibly win an election if the popular vote goes blue by 5. And that kind of was like the case in like 2020 leading into that election, where the tipping point state was like at a 4% popular vote electoral college split. But now that you have the big states getting redder, and you have California, New York, you know, some of those people are moving to Florida, and Florida's red. Texas isn't going anywhere anytime soon either. But California and New York are also getting redder. The country as a whole is getting redder, and the popular vote electoral college split, it was there this election cycle, but it wasn't there by much. I think Pennsylvania voted like 0.3% to the right of the country. I think Michigan was like right on the dot. Wisconsin actually voted to the left of the country, if you take the results there at face value. But still, it's like the Democrats are in shambles, and this is a crucial election for them to win in 2028 and even 2026, because if they don't gain seats in the Senate in 2026 and 2028, they're not going to likely have the Senate for a very, very, very long time. And this means that it's just an absolute disaster, because you just drop the ball, can't connect with voters that matter, you know, losing young voters, losing Hispanics, losing even a segment of young black voters, despite the fact that black boomers vote like 90% plus Democrat. It's a big, big mess the Democrats have gotten themselves into. It absolutely is ahead of 2026, 2028, and beyond, because if you can't win now, you might not be able to win as easily later down the line. Of course, things can happen. You have an economic crisis, economic recession, whatever, that's brutal and is like the Great Depression. Of course, the Democrats will probably end up finding a way to win an election down the line. I'm not saying like it can't happen. We have to play for keeps as well. But at the same time, it's like, this is just laughable. They thought they would never lose an election ever again. Now we have to start asking ourselves the opposite question, without necessarily being as smug or just blind to the possibility that they can about it. Can't take your foot off the gas, but just the raw data is not looking good for them. Trump's approval, despite all the negative media coverage, despite the stock market being in flux, it's still very high. His favorables are above water, which was never really the case beforehand in any part of his political career until the past few months. And the Democrats keep making a fool out of themselves. You look at the State of the Union, how they behaved there. It's just like they're not really playing to win. And then the economy, there's other data metrics that are looking positive. Seems like eggs are going down, gas is going down. There's definitely victories that Donald Trump is taking, possibly de-escalating some of these conflicts, like the one between Ukraine and Russia overseas. They can't effectively combat it. They don't have a leader. This is a party that is setting itself up for disaster in the near future. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.